Hey guys, what's going on? Hope everybody's having a great day today. Um, I'm super excited to bring you another podcast. This is another one of my really good friends who I've met here on social media, but he has a great story of adversity, overcoming adversity, faith, and fitness. And it's been an absolute pleasure to watch him and to learn from him. So his name is Sean Garner. He's one of the top fitness professionals in Miami, and I'm going to invite him on so he can share some of his amazing story with you right now. Let's see.
James!
What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. First of all, you are so kind. Thank you for the kind words. But I'm going to tell everybody how kind you are. So how I got even connected with James. We've known each other now. First of all, I consider James a good friend, but we've never even met in person.
I know, isn't that crazy?
We talk online all the time. We text all the time. We call each other on the phone, but we've never even met in person. But how we even got connected is, so I used to own a training facility that was associated with this gym in Boston called Mike Will Strength Conditioning. It was MBSC Thrive. And so I always followed their page, and I saw this crazy guy one day, like getting out of his wheelchair, doing like TRX rows and all kinds of stuff and pull-ups. I was like, who is this? So clicked on and got connected, obviously, with James, Handi Capable Fitness. And through all that, obviously, it's been inspired by you. I love your heart and your passion for helping other people and for showing the world, like, nothing's going to stop you. It doesn't matter, what you're going through. Like, you're an inspiration to me. I love you. I love seeing what you're doing, and you're impacting so many lives. And I don't even think you realize yet how far your influence has gone and where it's going. So
No,
thank you.
thank you very much. I really do appreciate all that. And it's crazy. I'm totally blessed because I get messages pretty much on the daily of people saying, you know what, like, I'm in China, I'm in Brazil, and you help us out. And it blows my mind. But to be honest with you, and I've told you this before, I'm just a tool for God to be using. And he's done major things. And I wouldn't be here today without him and the support of you and so many other people. So I think that's one of the things too why I started doing this little podcast series, because at first I was just going to interview handicapable athletes because that's what the page is about. But as I took a step back and I was really thinking about it, I said, you know what? Like, handicapable athletes are great, and that is what the page is centered around. But when you really take a step back and look, it's everybody has a story. And and we can all relate to somebody out there. And that's what I love about your story. I mean, I've heard it a bunch of times through different podcasts that you've done, and that's why I wanted to invite people on to hear your story, because I think, especially in this time where it's kind of such a dark place right now and everybody's a little fearful, I think they'll really benefit from hearing that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I know, we got the long version or the short version. I don't know down what road you want me to go, but we'll just talk and you ask questions.
All right, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. That you're the star of the day. So.
Oh boy, oh boy. Well, okay. So first of all, how I always introduce myself is I'm a husband, father, and fitness professional. Like, fitness is what I do, but it's not who I am. I'm first, I'm a husband, I'm a father. Just like James, I'm a man of faith. I'm a child of God. And fitness is what I do. It's not necessarily my identity. And I think that everybody has a unique way of kind of how they fell into fitness. Mine was not a traditional route like most people. I was not an athlete growing up. I was like this skinny, dorky little skateboard video game kid. And how I even got into fitness was I was training to be a firefighter. I was working I've had a lot of different jobs, but I was working as a restaurant manager and hated that. And so wanted to get one and become a firefighter. And so that's obviously a very physically demanding job. So my father-in-law got me into doing CrossFit. ended up loving it. It changed my body, got me in shape to become a firefighter, and ended up being a full-time firefighter paramedic for about 5 years. And during the last year of my service in the fire department, my wife was like, "Hey, you know, you're at home too much," in a nice way. Because as a firefighter, it's I love it. It was such a great job. I miss it a lot. But you only work 10 days a month. So you work 24 hours straight and have 48 hours off. And so she's like, you just can't be at home playing video games. I need to do something else. So I was like, well, I'm really liking this fitness thing. Like, we didn't have any children at the time. I was like, I'm going to open up a gym. And so ended up opening up a small little CrossFit gym in Oklahoma. And ended up falling in love with fitness, and especially like the gym owner business side of fitness. And so we had that for about a year until it got to be, in a good way, so big where I couldn't do that and the firefighting. So I ended up leaving the firefighting and jumping all in being a gym owner. And that's when the story begins. So then the day I left the fire department, my wife tells me she's pregnant with our first daughter. So went from, you know, being an employee, a government employee, having great health benefits, to where now I'm self-employed. So I had to go to work. So put my head down and ended up growing the gym. And then about a year, about 6 months later, we ended up buying our competitor out. So there was another CrossFit gym. So we owned 2 CrossFit gyms. And then our first daughter was born, Hadley. And I was working like crazy, never got to see her, and was honestly just getting my identity wrapped up in the gym. And so went on my first vacation. I didn't like spend any time with my daughter. Like, as soon as she was born, like literally in the hospital, I'm like, all right, baby's out. All right, I gotta go back to the gym. And so I go back to husband. I do not recommend that. Do not do that. That was not a good decision. So ended up, we took our first vacation like after my daughter was 6 months old, and my wife was like, this is crazy. Like, what do you think about selling the gym? So long story short, ended up selling the CrossFit side of our fitness business. And I was just kind of going to do it casually. Like, I had a private boot camp company I was still running. We were going into schools doing strength and conditioning, and thought honestly I was going to be done with fitness and it was just going to kind of go back to being a side business. I actually even tried to open up a couple of restaurants, like a Chick-fil-A and everything, like to be a franchisee of that. So thought I was done with fitness.
You are an entrepreneur at its finest right there.
So I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I was done with fitness. And then this is kind of starts our connection story. I was always followed Coach Mike Boyle and his stuff. I was reading one of his blogs one day and scrolled to the bottom, and it said, like, click here for franchise opportunities. I was looking for another business. I was like, let's see what this is all about. Clicked in, found out the MBSC Thrive system, loved Coach Boyle's training system, loved kind of the business system that these Thrive guys had set up. And long story short, ended up deciding to open up another facility again. So I thought I was done with fitness. We ended up going through that process. And then again, like every time it happens, no joke. So the first time I left the fire department, my wife got pregnant with our first daughter. Literally, we go to sign the lease on this new space. It was like a 14,000 square foot facility. We signed the lease, and then the next day finds out she's pregnant again with our second daughter, Aubrey.
Oh my gosh.
So then it's like,
That's
what are we doing? Like, we don't ever do this in like the most convenient way. So ended up opening that facility, and that facility is where I think like the identity crisis came to a peak. So that's where like now whenever I introed this, I told you who I am now. But whenever I was going through this, I did not know who I was. My identity was very much tied to what I was doing, was my craft. So I was a fitness professional. I was a gym owner. And the slippery slope and dangerous thing that you do when you allow that to be your identity is when the thing that your identity does bad, you do bad, because you link the two things together. And so my gym, that last gym we had, I made some bad partnership decisions. Financially, it was a complete mess. And so that gym was a business failure. And so because of that, I let that for so long become my identity, to where thinking I was a failure, like almost lost everything. Like tens of almost hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, almost lost my marriage over it. Like, it was a horrible decision. So all that being
Now,
said,
now, sorry to cut you
no,
off, but
yeah.
so I don't think we hit upon this, but is this around the same time that you were on Men's Health Top Trainer as well?
Yeah, so that's when this came about. So that was kind of the breaking point too. So I went on this show called Men's Health Next Top Trainer, because the gym franchise was loosely associated with Men's Health. And so they had this reality show called Next Top Trainer. You can watch it on YouTube. They did like a couple of series with it. It was like a web-based show. It's kind of like American Idol, but for personal trainers.
Yep.
And so went on the show and actually ended up coming in second. And most people are like, hey, that's pretty good. Like, you came in second place on this national training, like competition show. Like, but for me, that was like first place loser. Like, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I should just quit fitness again. And that right there was like the last thing that caused everything to crumble with the whole identity crisis.
Well, and so is that when you rekindled your faith as well? Is that when like you're kind of your rock bottom and you're like, listen, I have to change?
Yeah, so that caused the fall that led me to hit rock bottom. So after that, like, I hit rock bottom like a couple weeks after that show. Like, thought I walked out on my family, like, thought we were done, and thought I was a failure. I was just hurting them, holding them back. And that's whenever it hit. And that's whenever, like, it's I don't know if it's easier, but like when you don't feel like you can go any further down, like, that's where I think that the decision's made to who you're really going to be. And so, you know, thank God for God, and for, you know, saving me and for pulling me out of that, and for me getting to see that little glimmer of light, which became my hope and my driving force, that, okay, it's not all over. Like, we can do this. We can fight through this. So wife and I went through marriage counseling, ended up building our marriage back up to where now, that was probably almost 5 years ago now. Now our marriage is stronger than ever. Like, we're rock solid.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
It's I will say, I'm not thankful for what we went through, but I'm thankful how God used it. Like, he can use anything to glorify him and for him to get glory. And he took what was a horrible situation, and, you know, he did it in such a way that only he can get the credit for it. Like, it wasn't anything Sean did or my wife Courtney did. It was something that he did.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that kind of drew me to your story, and I kind of relate to somewhat a little bit, because it's something I think back when I'm getting ready to take a risk or, you know, step out a little bit in faith. You know, I remember hearing on a podcast that I think you maybe did with Mark, from Anatomy, where you just said you basically sent in your resume a couple different times and he wasn't paying attention. Now, if any of you guys are familiar with Mark Megna and his amazing facility down in Miami Beach, that's who I'm referring to. But Sean has a crazy story about how that all started, how he basically stalked Mark Megna. And
yeah. So my wife and I, we are very decisive people, I would say, in some regards, where when we make a decision, we just go for it. So this all happened. So had the rock bottom in June, and then about a year later, you know, things were starting to heal back up, and we were looking for a change. Like, the gym was a financial failure. There was no... Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. So the gym was a failure. Like, there was no saving it. So we're like, what do we do? And so ended up making the decision to close that down. And we went from the first week of May, we said, well, how about Miami? So I put my application in.
So you literally just basically took a dart and threw it at the map and said, okay, that's where we're going?
Ish, yeah. So we kind of said, if we're, because in essence, we're going to be starting over. So if we are starting over and we can go anywhere in the world, where would we want to go? And we love the beach. Miami is we don't like the cold, so there's no New York.
I'm with you right there.
So that means if there's no cold, it's got to stay a little bit further south. So okay, where can we live that's further south, that has beaches? That is, my wife does functional medicine and hormone therapy. So where's that big? Where's fitness big? And Miami just kind of made sense. So started looking at a couple of different places to apply. There was obviously anatomy. I applied for Equinox and this sports performance facility called Bommarito Performance. I thought that it was going to be 100%. I get the job at Bommarito Performance because I owned a sports performance facility. I was a strength conditioning coach for a minor league pro hockey team at the time. And then Equinox, I thought, of course, I could get a job at Equinox. They're a huge corporation. They're always going to be hiring trainers. And then Anatomy was like, man, that's kind of a cool gym in the area. Like, I would be foolish to not at least just throw my name out there. Yep. And it ended up happening complete opposite. So the sports performance place never even called me for an interview. Equinox, they offered me a job, but not as a trainer, as a manager. And then Anatomy offered me a job as a trainer, which is going to be 100% commission based. I'm moving a family of 4 at the time across the country. And for some reason, my wife, she's like the very conservative one out of both of us. She said, for some reason, it doesn't make sense, but you need to take the job at Anatomy. And thank God I did. Like, it ended up being nothing but awesome blessings for us. And going back to what you said about that interview process, how it happened was I did something that was extremely uncharacteristic of me. And just knowing Mark, I know that he didn't read the email very well because it's very uncharacteristic of him to hire this type of a person. So if you're wanting to get a job there, do not do this. I sent an email with my resume just to the main front desk email address. And I just said, this is going to be the next trainer you're going to hire. And very arrogant, just threw my name out there, threw my resume. And Mark told me after he hired me several years later, he's like, if I would have actually read that's what you said in the email, he's like, there's no way I would interview you. But I can see that. I found out, I think what happened was I sent it to the front desk and they just forwarded the resume to him. Oh, okay. So they didn't get to actually see the email. So thankful for whoever was working the front desk that day, and ended up coming to Anatomy. We've been here now. So I worked at Anatomy for 3 years. I was a trainer for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And I worked as a manager, general manager for them, and opened up their latest facility here in Midtown Miami. Did that for about a year and then ended up leaving there in July to be self-employed again, to work for my own company.
That's absolutely awesome. I love that. So how would you say Anatomy, helped groom you to be who you are today?
So just Anatomy and the whole coming to Miami experience showed me things that I never even knew possible. Like in Miami, I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if anybody knows where that's at, but if you don't know where that's at, there's a reason you don't know where that's at. There's really not much that goes on there. And so there, you want to talk about a mindset shift I had to have. When I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I owned my gym, I struggled to get people to pay $130 a month for unlimited classes with me. Okay.
Yep.
I come here to Miami. I now have to get people to pay me $135 to $150 per hour to train with me. And so you want to talk about self-worth, you got to change that really quick, because as soon as I get here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't get people to pay me for this for an entire month, and now they're going to pay it for just for 1 hour. How am I going to do that? So that makes you step up your game with bringing more value to the people that you're serving. It makes you step up your confidence, knowing what your self-worth, and knowing the value and the help that you're going to bring to your clients that you work with to be able to do that. But Anatomy helped lay the foundation for everything, because it showed me, it got me connected with some of the most successful people in the industry, some of the most successful business leaders in, honestly, the country. just with some of the clients that I got to work with and were exposed to. And it was a huge blessing for me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've never been to Anatomy, and I've never met Mark. I've never met Jacqueline Kaysen, but I did meet Grant and Nikki Pepper.
I remember that, yeah.
And they're absolutely amazing. And I just love, you know, they do this thing, I think it's on Wednesdays, Culture is Everything. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've kind of tried to adopt, you know, into my lifestyle of the people that I want to be around. And, you know, when Mark talks, I listen because he just has a way about him. And he, you know, again, I've only talked to him on the phone and here through social media, but he seems like he's the most humble guy. And the cool thing is like, it seems like it carries throughout the whole culture there at Anatomy.
Yeah, like that's what it's, you know, like attracts like. So that's kind of what you get to pick and select when you're building a team, is especially in fitness. Like, you got to work around these people for a lot of hours a day. So you don't want to work around your, so you pick good people and you build the team and the foundation around that.
Now, were you really fearful, you know, going and leaving Anatomy and starting your own company and doing the things that you're doing now? Or did you feel pretty confident in your base and you said, okay, I have kind of the men's health background a little bit, I have the Anatomy background, I can go and do this?
I felt very confident because I did it in how I would think is the I guess safest way, wisest way to do it. So what I left to go do wasn't fitness. I now what I do is I have a fitness consulting company called EntreFit. And so my primary job now is helping other gym owners and trainers grow with their social media and create their online training platform and just create multiple streams of revenue through online fitness. So
Okay.
before I left there, my income from my business, I had been doing this as a side. I didn't just decide, okay, I'm going to go do my own thing. I had been doing this for years, building this thing up. So I didn't leave. And this is for anybody that's entrepreneur, has their side business, wants to jump into it. I didn't leave my like main full-time gig until my side gig had reached the same amount of income. So then I knew, okay, well, if I'm making this much with it, just doing it part-time, I know I'm going to be able to do even more whenever I'm doing it my full-time. And then it ended up, you know, almost tripling within just a matter of 3 months.
That's awesome. And I mean, you know, so obviously it changed you financially, which is great, but how else did it change you? Do you have any regrets? Do you wish you could go back or anything like that?
No, I'm very thankful for my time that I had there, but it's just like, it's like a good book or a good story, you know. It had its purpose for that season in my life, and I really love what I do now. Like, when I worked as a trainer, gym owner, gym manager for almost 10 years. And one thing I didn't realize, and for 7 of that, because my oldest daughter is 7, we've had kids. I haven't had breakfast with my family, or lunch and stuff like that, just a few dinners for almost
Yep.
7 years.
Oh, wow.
And because whenever it's just me and my wife, like, yeah, she can come up to the gym when we owned our gyms back in Oklahoma, but like, it doesn't work that way. And I didn't realize how much family time I was missing until now I work 100% from home. So my office, I've got a home office now, and I have breakfast.
So this quarantine thing is nothing for you.
Well, now, yeah, it is, because before I was just at home. Right now, during the day, I was at home by myself so I could get a lot of work done. Now I've got a family of 5. Guys, so that is one thing. So what kind of led the whole jump out and do your own thing?
Yep.
What forced it was then baby number 3. So every time there's a baby, a big change happens in our life.
There you go.
Found out Courtney was pregnant with our 3rd, which ended up being our son, Corbin. And she said, you know, you can't keep working like you've been working. Like, you've already missed so much of the time with the family. Like, you don't want to do that again. And so We knew that my side business, EntreFit, had built up enough to where we could do it. We just didn't know when would be the right time. So we just made the decision, before the baby comes, let's spend the next, 8, 9 months building this thing up to getting it to where we could jump into it and go in full steam. Because now, like, I have breakfast 7 days a week with my family. Like, I'm the first one up. I still wake up really early. I wake up every day at 4. I get some work done. Then I start making my daughter's breakfast. Like, I have breakfast every single day with my family. I have lunch every single day with my wife because my wife works some days. She works from home and with a telemedicine practice. And then some days her office is literally in the ground floor of our building. So I get lunch every day with my wife.
Oh, that's
and then
awesome.
dinner every day with the family. Like, I don't miss moments with my family anymore. So that is... So no, I 100% don't miss that or regret that at all. And plus, like you said, like financially, like it's been a huge blessing for my family as well.
That's absolutely awesome. I love hearing that, because especially like the jump from Oklahoma where you lived your whole life, and then you all of a sudden just said, yeah, I'm gonna go to Miami, and just picked up and just said, okay, see you later, type of thing. I mean, your family, must have thought you were absolutely crazy. Like, we're gonna just go to Miami. We'll see you later.
This is how quickly it went. I told you that, like, June we hit rock bottom. Then the beginning of May the next year, we decided it. The second week of May, I came down here for interviews, and then the first week, then July 1st, we moved here. We sold our house. We closed our business in like a matter of 6 weeks. So the whole process from decision to selling a house to selling a business, me finding a job, my wife finding a job, getting schools for our daughters, and moving across the country was 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh, that is absolutely wild. I mean, so let's say there's somebody out there, especially like right now, there's probably a lot of unemployment. No, probably about it. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
I think one of the good things that has come out of this whole coronavirus thing is it's exactly what you talked about. When you made the switch from anatomy to what you're doing now, is you get to spend time with your family. And I think a lot of people are now forced to slow down and realize, hey, this is important. These are the things that are important in life. I know at least for me, that's what it's done. And the other thing is, I think a lot of people are trying to get a side hustle going on, as Gary Vee would call it. And, now you're able to do that, so what advice would you give somebody? They're just starting out, and let's say they lost their job, and, they're basically trying to start all over.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. It's a loaded question in some ways, but like what I would say is, first of all, on what you said about the priorities, is this has definitely shown everybody what's important. Like people, the things that, especially I'm in Miami, which is a pretty materialistic city. Like people are starting to realize very quickly what really is important to them and what really matters. So there is a lot of good as far as that part goes, I think. But the thing is, right now, is I kind of have mixed opinions on this. So I have some people right now, obviously, is a scary time for a lot of things. And some people don't have as much free time as you think. So like, for example, me, what I do, my line of work is in extreme high demand right now. But also I don't have any free time, because any free time I do have, all schools are shut down. So if you have kids, you are probably busier than ever before, because now, like, we've got a newborn, plus we've got 2 school-age daughters that are having to do Zoom classes all day. So like, it's hectic around here.
And you're trying to do work, and that's amazing. What'd you do? Lock the closet? It's pretty quiet there. I said, what'd you do? Lock them in a closet?
So I locked myself. I locked myself in our master bedroom right now, and they're outside.
There we go. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm just going to ask you a couple more questions, and then, we'll get you out of here. So, again, I don't think you hit on it, because I think I cut you off. if somebody wants to start something and they're kind of looking at this as a new leaf, what is the best recommendation that you can give them, whether it's fitness related, like a fitness related business, or just a business in general?
Yeah, I would say one thing, like just giving general business advice or something like this, because this is what I've done. I've started several businesses, some have failed, and the one currently that I'm doing is doing really well. So I would just speak on what I did for it. Make sure that you don't shortcut just to get started quickly. You kind of start with the end in mind and use that to help lay the foundation for what you want to build. So if you want to, just again, using what I do kind of as an example, there's a reason why I didn't call my company like just my name, like Sean Garner Coaching or Sean Garner Consulting or something like that. I wanted it to be something else because I wanted it to be something bigger than me, because I know my long-term goal for that is I don't want it to be about me. I want to be able to hire other staff and other coaches, so it's not just the Sean show, that it's able to grow and scale. And so that's something that especially you see in the fitness industry, where people name their gyms, their facility, or their training business after their name. That's not a sellable business at that point. Nobody's gonna. I'm sorry, like I love you, but nobody's gonna probably buy James Morris Fitness, like unless you're lucky enough to find a guy named James. But like what you've done, like it's Handi Capable Fitness. It's not about you. It's about something bigger than yourself. So
Exactly.
Think about the end whenever you're starting something. You can rush around sometimes and make shortcut decisions that in the long term could end up costing your business. So start with the end in mind and work your way back from that. And then the cheesy answer, but 100% know that there's going to be some point where you have to remember this, is your why for you doing it. Like I will say everybody should have, I'm a believer that everybody should have some type of side business or side hobby that they do to keep them engaged and to maybe make a little extra money. But I do not think that everybody should be an entrepreneur and be self-employed and have their own business, because it does take a special type of person that's willing to put up with tremendous highs and tremendous lows, because most of your ideas will not work out. So when that happens, you have to have enough thick skin to know that, okay, this idea didn't work, but what things can I take to go to the next idea? Because you will fail as an entrepreneur, because if you hit it out of the park your first time, that's really scary, because you don't know what you're going to do and how you're going to respond to failure.
Exactly.
That's one of the, so back to one of the questions you asked too about me leaving and going out on my own again. Why I felt so comfortable is because by the time I went out this time, I had already failed so many times to where I knew some of the mistakes I had made, and I had grown and matured enough to where I knew, okay, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
do this instead.
And I think too, and and I think you'd agree, I think one of the biggest reasons why you probably felt comfortable is that you prayed about it, and you really, I mean, you didn't wake up one morning and be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you really looked at it, and then you consulted God on it, and he gave his blessing to be able to do that. And I think that's really important to get across to the people. Just for at least us, we pray, we lift things up, and we take steps of faith that are anointed by God for us. So
yeah.
So, I don't know if you'd agree with that, but
absolutely, yeah. Like my wife and I, like it was no decision do we make without taking it before God and praying about it and consulting people in our small group, leaders in our church and stuff like that, because you always want to surround yourself. So the double side with this, make sure people pay attention, is like you have to watch who you surround yourself with and take your advice from. So I've just noticed personally, whenever I have any big decisions in my life, that there's typically a lot of difference between the believers, the people I go to church with, versus the people that are not. And it's not necessarily the people that are not's advice is bad, but they're just getting their source of truth and kind of the looking glass that they view things from the world's eyes and not from God's eyes. So they might have really good advice, but they don't understand that you can't even see what I'm looking at right now, because I'm looking through a completely different lens.
Exactly. So if if you had a crystal ball and, you know, what is your ultimate goal of, you know, if you could sit back and say, you know what, that's exactly what I picture, not even just business wise, but life wise, everything encompassing.
Yeah. So business wise, I have no idea, because I've had so many jobs. Who knows how long I'm going to do this? Like, at the end of the day, I will say the one job I will always have is I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I love being my own boss. I love the flexibility that it provides. But kind of the end goal and the vision that I'm shooting for is, again, not necessarily for a certain job, although I love what I do, but a certain lifestyle. Like, I want to be able to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with my family every day. Like, I want to be able to travel and show my kids all over the world. I grew up, you know, very, very poor. And so I don't want them to have to do that. And I want them to be able to see this beautiful world. I want to be able to stay connected with my church and serve with my church and do missions projects with my wife. And I have a lifestyle that I want to attain, not necessarily like I'll use different jobs to make that happen, but I don't have
Yep.
necessarily in like career goal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And so 2 more questions, then I'll get you out of here so you can get out of jail. So if you were to have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be?
Oh boy. Gotta think 3 people, because there's like the I feel like the Sunday school answer is Jesus. Man. So I'll say one is, just because I didn't get to know him that well, is my grandfather, my dad's dad. I remember as a kid always looking up to him and loving him and spending time with him, but he passed away when I was like 7. So I would like to be able to talk with him, because he owned a lot of his own businesses and everything back in Oklahoma. So to like kind of have the talk, like, I'm proud of you, grandson, for you know, having your own
That's
business.
so cool.
That would be pretty cool to me, to get to talk to him again. I mean, I've got a lot of mentors that are still alive that I'm huge fans of. Like, I love, I'm a big Tony Robbins guy. I love Tony Robbins.
Yeah, you went to his conference last year. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I went to the business mastery thing. That was incredible.
That was insane.
I'm trying to think who else. I know as soon as we're going to get off, I'm looking around at books and seeing if there's anybody.
Well, if you can't think of anybody, you just gave me an idea for another question that you might be able to answer better.
Yeah.
What are some of the last books that you read and
man.
recommend?
I've got a whole stack of books. So like right now I'm reading this book right here. It's called Copywriting Secrets. It's by this guy named Jim Edwards. Like, whenever you have any type of so if anybody is right now trying to start an online business or have some type of digital presence, you need to be able to do 3 things really well. One is, most important, I think, is write copy. So you need to be able to use your words through video, through text, through audio, to be able to show, share, and tell a story of why your product's so awesome and why people need it. And you do that through really good copy, because typically the best products don't make the most money. The best marketed and
sales pitch.
Yeah, those make the most money. So I'm always reading books over copywriting, marketing, or sales. So just right here around me, I've got Copywriting Secrets. I've got Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. And then right here, another mentor that I have is .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. Those are 3 incredible books. And I almost daily reference them and just flip back through them and read things.
That's so cool. I think reading is so important. I read a ton of audiobooks. That's my thing. Because to sit down and read a book, I'm like, yeah, not gonna happen. But if people want to get in contact with you to either find out more or, you know, do work with AndreFit, how can they do that? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, the best way is just shoot me a DM here on Instagram, just at Sean Garner. Connect with me here. I love social media, but I'm definitely like a DM guy. Like, I spend more time in direct messaging than I do like making posts and doing stuff in stories. So I like the one-on-one connection, stuff like this where we're hopping on live videos and sending video messages to people. That's how I connect best. So if they're serious about that, have any questions, just shoot me a DM.
Fun fact. It's funny that you say that you say that you like to do video responses, because that's the first way you ever contacted me.
Was it really?
Was because literally I saw the blue check mark and I was like, oh shoot, who's this following Handi Cable Fitness? So I did a little research and I was like, you know what? He's probably not gonna respond because he's got the blue check mark. But I'm just gonna shoot him a DM anyway. And you literally had the kids hanging all over you, and you recorded a video and you were like, yeah, let's connect. So
yeah, the videos are typically real life. Like there's always kids around me, like I'm holding a baby, like kids screaming in the background, I'm like, shut up, Dad's making a video. And like yeah, it's real.
Well, buddy, hey, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me. You gave the people a ton of valuable information. It's always good to connect with you. Tell Courtney and the kids they say hi, and I love you guys.
Thanks so much, brother. I love you guys, and thank you so much, and have an awesome day.